The exchange of fire comes as US President Donald Trump officially recognizes Israeli sovereignty over Syria's Golen Heights, an area the UN regards as occupied territory. RT's Igor Zhdanov joined me in the studio earlier to discuss the international reaction.
Well, the international community has been somewhat pushed under the bus by this whole decision. The most vocal in this have been, of course, the Arab countries. The whole of Arab League made public a joint statement condemning the decision, really standing out a condemnation by Saudi Arabia, for instance, you know, Washington's bestie in the Gulf. So it kind of tells the scale of the fallout this Trump's decision has had. Turkey also has condemned the move. Russia voiced its concerns in regards to the stability of the Middle East because Moscow believes that such a decision by Trump really undermines that. Also, well, Syria, of course, it's their territories. That's how international community, that's how the UN sees the Golan Heights as a Syrian territory.
The UN's policy on Golan is reflected in the relevant resolutions of the Security Council, and that policy has not changed.
The European Union, in line with international law, does not recognize Israel's sovereignty over the territories occupied by Israel since June of 1967, including the Golan Heights, and does not consider them to be part of Israel's territory.
I suppose we need to understand what exactly is at stake in the Golan. Can you explain that?
Absolutely. The Golan Heights is a strip of land on the border between Syria and Israel. Back in the 80s, in the course of a war, it was occupied by Israel, and that is how it is classified internationally. That's how UN puts it, that it is a Syrian territory occupied by Israel.
We who live in the occupied Golan Heights, we dismiss the U.S. President's foolish recognition of the territory as Israeli. We want to tell him, our fathers and grandfathers spilled their blood on this land, and you don't have a right to do that. Yesterday, it was Jerusalem. Today, the Golan Heights, and tomorrow, it might be another Syrian territory.
If Trump loves Israel and wants to give her something, he should give what's his to give, and not what belongs to someone else. He has 51 states. He can give Israel one or two of them. But the Golan Heights are not his property. They are not his to give away.
These deals signed by US President Donald Trump violates all principles and standards of international law. And here in the occupied Golan Heights, we remember that Syrian soldiers spilled their blood here and that it belongs to Syria.
Now, not the entirety of the Golan Heights is de facto under the control of Israel. There's a small portion of it that is still under Damascus's control. And I was lucky enough to visit that part back last year, back in 2018. And really, it was something of a turnaround moment, I think, for that part of the Golan Heights. Because when I went there, it was mere weeks after the Syrian army and the Russian jets liberated that area from the control of ISIL. There were certain pockets of Islamic State there, like Al-Qaritain, for instance.
We have heard the opposing views, obviously, to Trump's decision from the international community. What about Israel, though? Surely this is the best outcome that they could have hoped for.
Indeed, for Israel it is the best outcome, but I go out on a limb and say that I can name one person who's particularly happy that things are shaping out as they are, and that is the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, because he's facing elections in a couple of weeks, and now that he's thrown a bone to all those in Israel sharing the nationalist tension, he not only has Jerusalem recognized by the United States as the capital of Israel, but also he now has the Golan Heights.
We heard arguments from both sides of the Golan Heights debate.
We are already in control of the Golan Heights for 52 years. The Golan Heights is actually a heaven on earth, unlike the rest of Syria, which became a hell. Israel there is some kind of a good thing for the inhabitants and everybody else. Jerusalem is also not recognized as the Israeli capital. So what? Look, Jerusalem was the Jewish people capital already for more than 3,000 years. So what? Do we need the recognition of the world?